Hey, welcome everybody. We have a group here today and we're going to talk about anchor links on your website. What are anchor links and how they can be useful to you in your website in managing web pages that have a large amount of information and you want people to be able to jump from one section to another easily and cleanly and find what they need. So to talk about this today, I'm going to share on my library Win training page. Are you all seeing our training page? It seems to be missing a module. There it is. Can you all see the training page? And we've got accessing your website, logging in for the first time, and a brand new post about anchor links. So I'm going to use this as my guide for talking about what they are and how they work today. And then you'll also know that there is a good reference back to be able to look at this. And this video will be uploaded and shared as a resource on that page. So without further ado, what are anchor links? In short, anchor links are a tool that will help you navigate a web page that has a lot of content and divided into specific sections. Or it will help you send people from one web page to another that has specific content in a specific place. Some useful uses that I can think of for this would be if you have a page with multiple book clubs and you want to be able to send people to one specific book club, or if you had a document, you can treat this as a tool for like a table of contents. If you have, and that's how I've set up a lot of the training pages on this website, is you have an introduction, and then we have pages that have steps. And if you wanted to jump down to a specific step somewhere down the line, an anchor link is the tool that you would use to do that. So I'm actually going to open up another web page. Let's see, which one do I want to use? So I used as an example our website health status. We were just talking about this yesterday, and I made a new post this morning about what you need to know about your site health status. So in this document, I'm sorry, this is not a very colorful and sunshiny page. This is just a lot of text, but in order to be able to navigate that text, we have this introduction up top, which tells us about your site health widget. And then we have three sections: what you need to know, actions to take, and observe and be aware of. So if you wanted to jump down to the actions that you need to take on your website health, you can click on this number 2 area right here, and it will jump you right down to actions to take. And you can skip over that other section. Or vice versa, or optionally, you can jump down, you can take this observe and be aware of, and click on it, and it'll take you all the way down, and you'll see that list of other health issues on your website that you don't need to address yourself. These are very common things and no action is required. So what I used in order to be able to manage that navigation is the tool of anchor link. So how do you do an anchor link and how do you set that up? Interestingly, on this page, I've actually used a couple of anchor links within this page. But basically, Divi makes it really, really easy for you. It used to be in HTML that you had to do a bunch of coding and some brackets to write out an anchor link itself. Divi makes the tool super easy for us. The first thing to know is that while this example uses a text to a module, a text to a text module link, so here is your link on a piece of text that you click on, and it takes you to a text box module. Divi is super, super flexible. You can have an image that you attach an anchor link to, and it can jump to any kind of Divi module. So we talked about all of these different Divi modules, and if you need a review, you can go to these pages and you can review the recordings on them. But you can use an anchor link to take you from an image or a text or anything that a person can click on And you can have it go to any of these images, any of these modules. You can have it jump to a text module, an image module, even your post slider module, I think is capable of doing this. You can also have it jump to a specific row or section. Basically, anything in the Divi builder that has a particular piece in the tab. So let's click on the Enable Visual Builder here, and I'll show you what types, where you would find what types of things can actually get an anchor link attached to it. So this is where you're starting to design, and you're like, where am I trying to go? What is it that I'm starting from, and where am I trying to go? And so what you have here is anything you can click on. So we're going to actually click on this blue section and on the gear icon. And if you want to see if you can jump there, all you need to do is click on that icon. So we're in the section settings, and we click on advanced. And right here is our magic teleportal ending. So this is the target, the teleportal target of our anchor link is this CSS ID and classes. If you can fill in this CSS ID, you can have an anchor link direct you to this section from anywhere on your web page or even external from your web page. So that's where you're going to. How do you get there to begin with? So what's fun is I actually have an anchor link already on this page. Every time you see jump to video on the LibraryWin training website, if you click on that gear and I come up to it, oh, sorry, that's actually not the way I did it. If I click on this, click on the gear to edit it, and I look at the link here, right here. So where you start from is in your text box, and you have your module link URL. And right here, I have hashtag video. That is the front end of my anchor link. So I have attached a link to this amount of text, this jump to video text has a link of hashtag video. And that is paired with this Divi module, which when I open it up and I go to the advanced tab, has video as its class or as its CSS ID. So by matching the hashtag on the front end and the text on the back end in the CSS ID, this is how I direct my my link down to this other part of this web page. So the way this works in actuality, make any changes to this page. When my page is there, when I click on jump to video, it jumps me right down to that video and done. Magic? Fun? Makes sense? Give me a thumbs up in chat if you're still with me, or a thumbs up. Who's still confused?
So if I have a text box module that has 4 pieces of information in it, and I wanted an anchor to each one of those, I can't do that because I can only anchor to a module.
No, yes, you can only, your end target has to be a separate module.
Oh.
But in an individual text box at the beginning can link to multiple modules. So I'm going to do this again because this takes a little while to wrap my head around. And the reason that anchor links usually don't work is because you either forget one of the 3 rules. And I'm going to go back to here and how we're going to create an anchor link within one web page. When you are creating a link from a clickable object, so it can be from a piece of text or it can be an image, remember at the front end, you have to add a hashtag. You have to add that $. So every individual link has to have its own individual hash and its own individual words attached to that. So that hash needs to be in front of unique words. You can't use the same set of words And so the example I use on this thing is hashtag learn more. When you use hashtag learn more on a page, that becomes a unique identifier for that target. And whatever that target is going to be attached to that item. Starts with a hash and it ends with just the text on the far end. When I click on that advanced and I come down to the CSS ID, I'm going to put in the learn more. So you can put this hashtag, maybe I should back up. You can put this hashtag on any number of pieces of text or images, but this hashtag will always direct to this individual module or section or row that has this CSS ID on a page. But we're still looking confused.
Interesting.
How about I create an example on a new page? Let's make it. I'm going to go to new post. New post. I'm not going to care where it ends up. I'm going to use the Divi Builder. So ask me eventually. And this is a really simple page. I'm just going to use this layout. Okay. So I'm going to rename this. This module that I am using right now is a text module. You can take a look at it real quick. So this is a text module that I'm using. And right now it just has a whole bunch of words in it about introduction, about scheduling a post. But I'm going to change this to anchor link test page. And I am going to put in, for another example, I'm going to grab an image and this one's going to be, oh, I have to use the Novelist Plus. I'm going to use Novelist Plus as my image. So right now I have a bare bones section here that just has anchor link test page and Novelist Plus. For my example, I'm going to create a section further down on this page. And I am going to add anchor links to this. So for this area, I'm going to add a link. This is anchor link test page text. And I'm going to add an anchor link. And remember, this has to start with a hashtag. And you can't have spaces. So I'm going to have anchor link test as my ending target words. So what we're going to put into our eventual target is that text right there. And I don't have to do open a new tab or anything on this one because it's going to direct it exactly to that space on the web page. Now I can do the same thing on our image. It's a little bit different. We're going to have to do this custom URL here, and we do anchor link text and update that. And now this should also have a link attached to it. You can also go in and you can insert and edit it that way too. So there's two different ways. Reminder that WordPress and Divi give you multiple ways to do the same thing. So this is, sometimes I'm going to show you one way and I'm showing you the other, just know that they both work. So I'm going to save my changes to that. I'm actually going to change this to anchor link, just so that I can see on the back end. This is where I'm starting from. So now I want to do a jump down to a different part on my page. And I'm actually going to make, I'm going to actually use the divider. There's a divider there. So I'm going to use this module here. And I'm just going to delete the content. And I'm going to say, this is the target for my text anchor link. And then, so this will be the text that shows. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to save this right now and let's text anchor link target. And we're going to change this one to image anchor link target. And then I'm going to delete these so that they're out of the way. And let's take a preview look at what this is starting to shape up to look like. So here's my anchor link test page. It has, you see that when I put my cursor over it, it does indicate that there is a link here. And when I put my cursor over in the Novelist Plus, it does indicate that there's a link here. But if I click on it, it goes nowhere. Because right now that link has no, it doesn't, it's dummy. It doesn't have the second end attached to it. But I have, this is the target for my anchor link text, or for my text anchor link here. And if I come back in here and I edit this, that, this is the target for my image. Well, and oh no, and I don't have to do this because I'm being dumb. We only have one anchor link that we are actually testing at this moment. So I'm going to delete that. So if I want this, when I click on it to go somewhere, I need to come in here, click advanced, and then I'm going to do anchor link test. Just to be absolutely sure, I can actually at the same time, I can see it, I can click on this gear icon and come up here and hover over this and double check anchor link test is here with a hashtag. And in the other module, oh, that's the divider. You can actually send somebody to a divider if you really wanted. Want to do that. In the advanced here, there's anchor link test, no hashtag. So I'll update that. And now let's see what happens when I preview it. If I click on this, it will take me down to the, it will scroll down to this target. If I come back up to the Novelist Plus and I click on it, it will take me down to the target. Are you following that much, Trevor? I know you've got a plan. I can see in your eyes that you want to do something. You're trying to figure out how to make this work for you, right?
I think this is me getting used to WordPress
And Divi
versus front page or Dreamweaver, where you just have one page.
Right.
From HTML to NHTML. And you here, if I want to be able to, I've got to turn everything into modules.
Yes.
And part of what I'll live with that, but I don't, the modules seem to come with a lot of padding, more than I would put in myself, but I'm not a designer. And so I mean, this works. It's better than writing the code by hand, because the anchor tag is a bit of a, the link tag by itself is bad enough to remember. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just,
so now you create,
it's a very different approach to thinking about it. What WordPress forces everything into little paragraphs, aka modules almost, as opposed to one big page. It works. I just have to get used to it.
right. And it really is, it's very simple, but it's deceptively simple. It's one of those things that it makes sense when you see it, but then when you start to go do it, all of a sudden there's really easy ways to get backwards on this. It can be super powerful, but it can be really easy to do it backwards. What I want to also show as far as the power of the anchor link here, now that I've got this new post set up here, what I can do above and beyond on this is that I can have this effectively be the target of any link that I share with somebody. So the example that I use, this is kind of a lame example because the page isn't long enough. This really works on pages with tons of information. So the example that I use for the second case use for this is that having a permalink to a specific section on a page. This actually just happened this morning, where somebody wanted to update, that they wanted to be able to change their logo on their website in the primary menu, and they weren't sure where to find it. Well, I have a training page set up, which is this, on changing the logo on your website. But if we look at it, there is a lot of things going on here. There's your site identity logo, there's your primary menu logo, and there's your footer menu logo. So while I have this page, if I just sent them here and they're like, but I don't know what I'm looking at, like there's a lot of stuff on this page. And I really want them to just be able to see, this is the case example where you want to change this part of your website, the APL logo on the, and this wasn't the example from this morning, I just grabbed the website that had one. If you wanted to change just this, you don't want to be confused by this other content on this website. So I have an anchor link attached to the logo in primary drop-down menu here. What you can't see by clicking on that is that it doesn't just appear up here, unfortunately, but there is an anchor link attached here. And that anchor link is hashtag primary menu logo. And I probably could have kept it simple, or I probably could have said hashtag primary. It doesn't really matter what that is, what the anchor link content is. Other than it can't have spaces, it has to have the dashes. So what I can do is I can copy just this part of it, this HTTPS training librarieswin.org, and I can add that hashtag anchor link onto it. And then if I were to go into a brand new browser tab and I enter that information in, it's going to bring you up and it's going to jump you right down to the content that that person is looking for. So it's going to skip over all the other parts and pieces on that training page, and it's going to bring you directly to that. So where that can be useful is if you have a website that has, maybe it's your board documents. I was using the WVLS board agenda page earlier, and we have materials going all the way back. And if you wanted to send somebody directly to the March 18th, 2023 agenda, you could do that through a anchor link, and it would scroll and it would open it up right there for them, and they wouldn't, or if you really wanted them to go all the way down to you know, January 20th, 2018, you could send them an anchor link for this. And let me see if, I think Anne actually had this one built that way because of the amount of content here. Sometimes finding the anchor link is the hardest part. You have to go into this piece, and you're gonna, of course, it's gonna reload instead of giving you the editor. Like I said, this is the page that gives me errors. So you want a lot of content on. Okay, so now if you give me my gear icon, and I come over to advanced, and I see if there's, this one does not have, but I could easily add, let's say, let's do November 2017. And I update that. And now, let's say I go here and I do hashtag November 2017. And since I've added that link, if I actually saved it, please see. See, didn't save my changes. And it's not going to do what I wanted it to do. Oh, was it 2017? Did I do 2017 or 2018? No, was it 2 weeks? Always happens when you record yourself. Okay. 17. Yeah, maybe that's what happens. There it goes. And now it clicks in and it brings you right down. So you could send somebody a link by copying and pasting this. So that would bring them directly to the item that they are looking for on your page without having to scroll up or down on that. The other cool piece of this is if there was, say I needed to make a post, we could do this as another test. So if I were going to be on this website and I wanted to create a test, I'm going to just do a box here. And I'm going to say link to the WBLS Board of Trustees, November 2017 board. Oops. Packet. I can do a couple of different ways. I can put a link in a couple of different things. But I'm going to put it right on the text here. Sometimes that's the easiest to find. So now I have that link attached to that. And I will go ahead and have this open in a new tab. So I can keep track of it. And update this page. It out. So do it fast. It's now the link to WBLS Board of Trustees November 2017 board packet. I click on that, it brings me to an entirely different website, and it scrolls down and drops it into where you can find the November 2017 board packet. So that, essentially, in a nutshell, is anchor links. Any other questions on anchor link or thoughts or use cases that you can think of for this little tool? Good. This is just something you can file away for the day that you never have to use it. Know that it exists. Know that it is documented on the training website. If you do need to use it, it's there. But it's also, it might be a really good way to like publicize certain things. If you want to get people right to a certain section on a page, like this is where you go to register. You've got all this other content and it'll drive you right down. You can use that anchor link. And again, you can do it to any kind of module. You can do it to a row. You can do it to a divider even. Basically anything that has that CSS ID area in that advanced tab, you can make an anchor link to. And that's what I've got for today. I will go ahead and
So
stop.
if you had a module that has a lot of text in it, and can you get out the raw code to put in anchor targets by hand?
You can. If you want to go ahead and do that, Trevor, you have at it. Because all you'd have to do for that is, and this is not going to be a great example because I don't have a ton of text. If I had something with a ton of text that I could paste in here, it'd be a better example. But
well, if you're
I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to show you everybody else how to cheat.
If you're in a text module,
yep.
How do you get at the raw code?
Easy. Easy.
I know how to do this. I just don't remember right now.
Yep. Go into any text module. If you're a person who loves your raw code, all you have to do in any one of these text boxes in a post area or anything is you click that we have a visual builder. You click on the text builder.
Right.
And now
And you can do
here,
whatever
like I
you
said,
want.
this is a really bad example because it has nothing,
Right,
you know,
but I
nothing.
could start to write raw code.
You can start to write raw
Okay.
code, and then you can click
Alright.
to the visual. Okay, huge caveat. Visuals are not perfect. If you're gonna write raw code and you see this in the visual builder here, and even if you're in here and you're doing a enable visual builder and you're building on the front end, and what you see here and then you save it and your spacing is messed up, that is par for the course with visual builders. The spacing is never perfect from what you see on the editor end versus what you see on the published end. And then if you have the dynamic, responsive websites that we have, as soon as you put it on a different size screen, a lot of things can change there too that you can't control with just a basic raw code editor. So for Trevor, you can go in and edit to your heart's content with raw code. For the rest of you, if you have a ton of text in one of these boxes, my first recommendation is don't in general, because I think there's another spot that I'm running. The WVLS advocacy page is another one that I think has bugs in it because we have so much text in one text box. And I keep getting told that I have errors in there. So my recommendation is if you want instead to have a bunch of different anchor links and have things jump into different pieces of that, is to make multiple, duplicate it and make multiple different text boxes and break your text up into smaller chunks. It's easier in the editor to begin with. And it's also, you can do a lot more of that. You can do anchor links and things like that without messing up something else with it. That's my little soapbox about not having a ton of text in a single text box and not having a ton of links on a single page because it may cause errors. But also know that if you do have a full, you could have your entire doctoral thesis on a single Divi web page. That's not a problem, but break everything into those small chunks, and then you can add that table of contents at the front. People can jump down. You can write your great novel, great American novel, and you can put it all on one web page. But then do break it up by chapters in, or even sections of chapters into these individual text boxes.
And if you have multiple web editors in a given library, it's probably, and you tell them to update the text, if it's separate modules, it's easier to find, for them to find a piece they need to fix.
Right.
So I will try using shorter modules and get used to it. It's just a different way of thinking. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not trying to criticize. It's just,
And I totally get
I mean,
it.
I don't want to go back to writing web pages in Notepad.
That is very good. There are reasons that we've moved beyond certain things. I still think there's some things that don't, Divi gives you, is that nice balance between giving you enough control over stuff without losing some of that finesse. Some of the other ones, if we were on Weebly or I haven't played with Squarespace in years, but you were so locked into what their format was and their restrictions were. WordPress and the combination of WordPress and Divi do give you a lot more to work with. But I do just want to give you a quick example of why this advocacy page, I really should address some of these things on here, but why breaking things up into smaller units. We already have a ton of text boxes over here. But when I have this WVLS Libraries Transform project, what you can see here is I have an editor box with all of this information, and I keep losing some of these posters, and I really should pull these posters out and make them their own box, but they really want this to be one section. So I need to think about some better ways, whether it become as an accordion or something, so that you can actually get in here, because by the time I'm down here trying to edit something, and the way Divi likes to move things on you sometimes. I've accidentally deleted more than one of these posters very easily because you're scrolling, and heaven forbid you're doing this on a laptop screen. It's bad enough on my 27-inch screens in my home office. So I do recommend breaking some of these things up into smaller groups. Maybe I should throw in one more caveat, something you cannot do. While we are playing with this, I'm actually going to use my anchor link page here. And I'm going to do this on the back end because it's easier to see what's happening on the back end. You cannot do an anchor link to a separate part of an accordion or toggle. And what I mean by that is if you are using an accordion container as you are here, so the accordion container looks like this. I have an open box, and then I click on this one, and it closes that one, and it opens this next box, and I click on this one. So it allows for condensed information in a single page here in a small space. It looks like this on the back end, where you see the anchor link uses example 1, example 2, example 3. You cannot have an anchor link that links to individual accordion pieces. You can only have it linked to the entire advanced or the entire module under the advanced, because you need to have this advanced tab. So
when you're looking at that page in a browser, if you right click an accordion, will it give you, can you do a copy link?
because it's not, in this case, it's not I'm right clicking on it right now. It's not an active link because all it is it's a CSS.
Okay.
Gosh, what is a CSS?
So if you right click anchor link example, you're not going to get that choice.
Oh, okay, but you want to see what the anchor link would look like, because you want to see if you can copy and paste it from here.
Well, if you hover over a mod, like if you hover over anchor link example and jump within page, if you right click that, is it going to give you anything?
No,
Okay.
which is too bad. Or okay, so because here's the jump to video, and can you see if oh, there's no video on this one.
No, never mind. I'm not trying to confuse things. So
No, you're okay. So here, if I hover over it, oh, yeah, right. If I hover over this, it gives me site identity up here where it's going to be jumping down here. However, if I go down to site identity, this is a target. It's not an actual link. So no, you can't hover over this or get that. So it's nice that if you can coordinate this so you can kind of guess at it. But in this case, I would scroll up to the top to find what that link is. Okay. Any other questions? I think we kind of got most of the stuff to work. Again, it takes a little practice, and you do know now where to go back and get some references.
Sorry.
Cool. Well, I'll stop this recording for now. And for the rest of you, remember that you come back at 3 and to check the Libraries Win training site. And we will, you can get this document and other similar documents and examples of how anchor links work just by playing with them.